Alrighty, my name's Clay Canfield. I'm the founder of Sobriety Hub software for sober livings, and I'm here today with my friend Bill Seward. Bill is the founder of Rise Above Sober Homes. Bill, it's good to have you. How are you doing?
Very good to be here. Thanks for having me, Clay. Doing well, doing really well.
Awesome. Yeah, so I know that you run a newer operation, and tell us about kind of the startup process and what inspired you to start a sober living home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a cool story. So, growing up, starting out in my work life, previous work life, worked in the hotel industry, worked in property management, managing apartment communities. My wife and I actually about 8 years ago, we jumped into restaurants, and we owned a couple of restaurants, local or national barbecue franchise. Operated those for about 8 years. During the time, my wife got into real estate, and after we sold our restaurants just after the pandemic had started in 2020, we started looking at some real estate opportunities, and through doing some fix and flips, we kind of happened upon this sober living model, or this sober living home thing that we didn't know much about. And so, being a kind of analytical by nature, went through, kind of deep dived in, did some research, and we thought it was amazing. One, from the real estate opportunities, being able to purchase homes and maintain those, but two, being able to, most importantly, kind of give back to a very needing and a very undervalued group that hasn't been getting the support that we felt, especially out here in California, that they truly needed. This class of individuals that are fighting diseases. So we purchased their first home here in Southern California back in late November, early December, and we just opened in March. Currently, we have 12 guys in the house, and it's a men's only. This first home is a men's only, but the goal is we don't even know. We want to open up 5, 10 houses. We see such a need, like I said, out here, that we think we can really make an impact and really change people's lives.
Awesome. Yeah, super cool. An interesting background, kind of going from more conventional real estate and business owning into sober living. Tell me about kind of what you do to, set the house apart from just, an apartment or a typical lease. What kind of makes it feel like a home? What do you do to kind of encourage, the continued recovery of your residents?
So one of the things we found, like through the research process, we visited some homes. We talked with other sober living home operators, and just kind of learned that a lot of the homes were kind of loosely put together. There wasn't a whole lot of effort, and certainly, and I get the whole investment piece, but I felt like they were just kind of just thrown together, and it really just felt like a hodgepodge of furnishings, and there wasn't a lot of thought and care put into really setting up the house. And so the way we approached it was, hey, we want to inspire these guys. We want to create a beautiful home that's well appointed. It has it has a lot of motivational and aspirational kind of method comments throughout. We've got a lot of phrases that are kind of faith based, but also motivational. And I think we added some really good amenities. We put a ping pong table in, we put a pool table, we put some workout equipment in the garage. And so what we ultimately wanted to do was just create this beautiful home that inspired the guys to want to change, and get kind of accustomed to a higher, what we assume was going to be a higher quality of lifestyle, and in turn take that and kind of pivot that forward. So when they are out on their own, they are inspired to maybe look for a better environment, a better living arrangement. And so far it's been well received. The home, like I said, it gets a lot of rave reviews. when we first get people coming in. We always get the funny, hey, we see the photos on your website. Are those like the real photos of the house? And what does the house really look like? And I'm like, no, promise you, these are exactly, these photos were taken a few months ago. And what you see is what you're going to get when you walk in the door. And so it's been very good. The guys are very positive. They love living in a nice, clean, and it also, I think, selfishly, it creates that if the house is well appointed, it's well kept, it's clean, it's inviting, that they are actually motivated more to keep it at that quality level. And so it really helps them kind of develop better life habits moving forward, and hopefully in turn that creates more success for them in their future.
Yeah, 100% makes a lot of sense. I know you had an inspector of some sort come by and comment that your sober living house was cleaner than their personal house.
She did, yeah, yeah, and it was a woman, and I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing. So I say it obviously was, but she was pleasantly surprised, and she said by far the best home that she's inspected in quite some time, and applauded us for that. And she was very appreciative of the fact that we cared enough and saw the value in putting together a well kept and a clean house. And she definitely agreed with, when I shared with her kind of our mindset and approach. She was excited. And I told her this is the first of many homes that we're hoping to open. So she seemed very excited to work with us in the future.
Yeah. And I know you've been a business owner, various businesses for a while, and it seems
Sure.
like that your hands-on approach and kind of taking things seriously is I'm sure it'll be an asset for you. And I know that you're using Sobriety Hub, which is kind of a tool that generally appeals to people who want to track outcomes data. They want to have a keen sense of what's going on, and they kind of want to stay super organized.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your experience using Sobriety Hub and kind of where you see yourself kind of growing with the software.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, and you kind of touched on it, but with my management background and operational kind of mindset, for me, going into this and knowing that this is the first of many homes, I really wanted to create a scalable program or a scalable model that was going to allow me to better track everyone. I don't want to have 10 houses and have a total disconnect from every guy in the house. And, I'm looked at as just the landlord or the owner who, only cares about whether or not I pay each month with my contribution. So the one of the first things I set out and looked for after we got the home up and running was I needed to, and I realized, and again, the paper trail and talking with some of these owners and doing my research, they're talking about boxes and boxes and trees that have been killed and decimated. And, I'm going, oh my God, I can't do this. It's going to drive me crazy. I don't want a storage facility full of people's personal information. And so I found, through research, I found you guys. And I think the one thing that initially appealed to me was that I knew you guys had that entrepreneurial kind of mentality. You had that startup. We're just getting started, but we have a big goal for this, and I share that entrepreneurial kind of spirit. And when I got a chance to speak with you a little bit and understand your background and how Sobriety Hub was kind of created or conceived through the whole, hey, we're going through recovery. We've been in these sober homes, and we saw there was a disconnect with the operations. And so I was like, perfect, and that's when I knew it was the right fit. And, even in the short period that we've been using it, and I've only interacted with you a few times, beyond impressed with your ability to kind of pivot and hey, Bill, hey, Clay, I have an idea. And it's like, boo, boo, boo. Okay, great. We got it. We're working on that. Or, hey, that's in the pipeline already. For me, operating and running small businesses, I always, I have a real kind of warm spot in my heart for the small business guy, and the guy, not the large, multinational corporations, the guys that are grinding. And so I felt like my relationship with you guys would be more appreciated. I wouldn't be just a number, or a monthly invoice. I felt like my insight, my thoughts, my suggestions wouldn't just fall on deaf ears. That you guys would go, hey, wait, this guy actually has a good point. Let's work on that.
Right.
So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, Clay. I mean, it really was. And I'm part of this larger sober living network out here in Southern California, and this Riverside Sober Living Coalition. And I'm committed with you guys to going out and trying to spread the word, and really show guys that, look, we don't have to, the whole paper trail of paper files, that's so archaic, and it's not the 21st century. And it's just embracing and creating, getting the buy-in and understanding how easy it can be, and how much more beneficial it's going to be for the owner operators, the heads of houses or house managers, the leadership team, but also more importantly, the guys, because there's more tracking, and we kind of know what's going on without having to be on site every single day. I can review a guy's notes, or his files in Sobriety Hub, and then when I go meet him, I know what's going on. I know what happened yesterday. I know he just celebrated his 90 days of sobriety, and we can celebrate that. And it creates a better connection with me, because now it's not just Bill showing up once or twice a week and having no idea what's going on. It's Bill showing up going, hey man, here's a cake, let's celebrate this 90 days of recovery.
That's
And
awesome.
it just creates a little bit more of a personal connection. So that's a testament to you guys and your software.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's cool that you mentioned the 90 days thing. We've been thinking about, there's some modern web apps where if you do a certain, action within the web app, it'll give like a confetti. And
Right.
we were thinking of throwing that in, like when a resident hits, 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, and a year. But it would be a lot of confetti. So,
Exactly.
yeah, which is great. I mean,
No, of course.
important milestones.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
we have in our home as well. We have a giant calendar on the wall, and it's chalkboard. You can write on it like chalkboard and erase it. And we celebrate that as well. And for me, it's like, the way I look at it is any outward or public displays of celebration. Like every month, my wife makes sure that, hey, get a cake for the guys, and we celebrate recovery milestones. We celebrate birthdays and things like that, because a lot of times I think people take for granted that you assume that everybody's had birthday parties and everyone's had celebrations and everyone's always been recognized for achieving certain levels of success in life. But you'd be surprised, you'd be really surprised when we've celebrated a birthday and the guy's like, wow, this is the first birthday cake I've ever had. And I'm floored. Sad for him, but in the same time, I'm glad that we made that effort to be the first. And we want to recognize those guys, because the recovery thing's hard. It's tough. And if a birthday cake or a recovery, celebration of someone's recovery milestone is what it takes to keep them clean and sober one more day, then we'll do it all day. We'll do it all day. So yeah, it's a good thing.
100%. Yeah. And then last question for you. I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier in terms of, starting to kind of incorporate some transitional housing for people leaving, formerly incarcerated people.
Yep.
What do you see as the future there, and how are you incorporating kind of that element into the sober living model?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the inspection that occurred was kind of in that that will, or that time or mindset or frame of work. Um, you know, as we kind of mentioned offline earlier, there's a lot of substance abuse or issue, recovery issues are happening with guys coming from incarceration, whether it was a previous life before they were incarcerated, or let's be real. I mean, sometimes drugs do kind of sneak into the prison systems. So out here in California, they've made an effort to really try to find ways to transition guys out of incarceration a little sooner depending on what their legal reasons for being incarcerated were. Minor offenses are being their sentences are being reduced, and even some are even transitioning to sober living or halfway homes where they're able to finish out their sentencing. And so I think it's a good thing because, and the one thing we did again with the model for our sober home is we did away with bunk beds. No bunk beds, because I look at bunk beds as institutional, kind of a institutional environment, a lifestyle. So no bunk beds in our house. Everyone has, good, comfortable single bed, plenty of closet space, because I think a lot of that institutional life needs to be kind of, broken down through a transitional housing kind of model, so that these guys will be able to reintegrate themselves into, a normal everyday lifestyle. And so I think the Department of Corrections and a lot of these institutions are looking at the sober living model and going, hey, look, this is a good soft transfer for guys coming from institutional life going into it, where there's still structure, there's rules, there's curfews, there's chores that have to be done. So there's structure there, but that structure is what maybe didn't occur before these guys were imprisoned. And if they had better life skills or were taught how to clean up after themselves, how to do their laundry, how to make their bed, had those things been maybe instilled in them at an early age, that maybe the offenses may not have occurred and they may have never been incarcerated. And so I think they're really embracing the sober living model, going, hey, this is a good way to teach them life skills. We can help them as well. They have programs where they have classroom programs as part of this reintegration model. So coupled together, they're really trying to find a good way to prevent the reoccurrence and getting guys that are released and then suddenly they're back a few months later. I think they realize that the environment that they're reintroduced into needs to be different than what they came from. And so, I think it's a great model. I think it's a great approach, cost effectively, significantly cheaper to house them in a sober living home versus out here in Southern California or out here in California, just with the cost to maintain these prisons and the prison systems. So right. Yeah, I look at it long term. I think it's a successful model if it's managed and you have the right operators that are able to get the buy-in and really see it through.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm no expert, but what makes a ton of sense to me is, just the idea that if you can get somebody into high quality transitional housing, sober housing, it's going to reduce the probability of recidivism, whether that be, right, relapse to, whatever criminal behavior or, drug relapse. It's all kind of the same thing. And treatment for both of those, whether it's prison or rehab or detox, is all really expensive. So right. I think it makes a ton of sense, those programs.
Yeah.
The word that comes to mind, just in listening to you talk about, your house and no bunk beds, thoughtful, furniture even, is just like empowerment.
Right.
I think that a big, component of the disease of addiction especially is shame, right? And
absolutely.
I think that, if you can make somebody feel like, okay, this is the life that's here for me, as long as I can continue to participate in my recovery and do the next right thing, like this is what's available to me, this nice, comfortable, healthy lifestyle. So I think right. It's cool that, your house kind of gives the residents that kind of feel early on. I think that's
yeah. Yeah. And to piggyback on that, I love, I feel like it's so fulfilling for my soul when, I don't have to go to the house every day. I don't have to go there even weekly, especially with your app. I mean, it's made it, much easier for me to manage from a distance. But I go there and I spend time with the guys and I share with them my upbringing. I grew up in a very modest, very, very low income kind of environment. And, didn't really have a lot, but I had choices. I had a work ethic and, I was committed to making sure that, I provided a better life for my family. And I share that with those guys because a lot of those guys feel like, oh gosh, my criminal record, oh gosh, my addiction to this disease is going to prevent me from having success in life. And, I share with them day and day, time and time again. I'm like, that's only by choice. If you choose to hold yourself back or hold yourself down, that's on you. But I'm a living testament that you can, through hard work and perseverance and motivation and being passionate, that you can achieve it. You just have to want it that more than you don't want it. And I tell them, the most successful people in life do the things that they don't want to, and the people that are unsuccessful in life see the things that they hate doing, they don't want to do it, and they choose not to do it. And so it's a choice, and I think, I tell guys all the time, and I tell my kids this: do the things you don't want to do, because the things you don't want to do are probably the things that are going to help you the most and are probably going to allow you and help you achieve, the things that you want most out of life. And it feels good for me. It's so fulfilling. Like I said, it motivates me. It keeps me kind of focused and determined in helping them. And I tell them all the time, like, look, the one thing I want most out of this is I want you to call me 5 years from now and go, hey, Bill, I'm married, or I have kids, or I have this amazing career. I have my own apartment. I have my own house. I said, that is all I need. That's the only thing I want to see, because I want to impact and make your life better than it was when you first met me. And so, for me, that's kind of my driving force, to really help and provide a better opportunity for these guys who, I mean, let's face it, Clay, a lot of these guys feel like they're at their wits end. They've hit rock bottom. They don't feel like there's not a lot left. So they just kind of they're just surviving instead of thriving. And, and I tell them all the time, you got to thrive. So, that's it, man. That's my why.
Got it. Love it. Well, it's been great talking to you, Bill. Thank you so much for taking the time today. And any last words?
No, I just, what, I'm excited. Like I said, it's I love sharing. Anyone that watches this, if they want help, if they want to learn how to, get started with this, how to give back, I'll definitely be available. You can find it, find my information on my website or what have you. I'm excited about your app. I think your app is a game changer for me, being able to scale, like I said, my opportunities here in Southern California. So I'm excited. And I appreciate you guys even having the foresight to even put this together, because me trying to put together a bunch of spreadsheets and whatnot was going to be, if I had hair, I would have pulled it out by now trying to do all these things. But thankfully, you guys have put together a good app that I know is just going to grow and grow with me, and I'm going to grow with it. So I'm excited about the partnership.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill.
My pleasure. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Yeah.